Kilalanin natin ang updated, new and improved complete lineup ng Magnolia Hotshots para sa 2026 Pba 50th Governor's Cup. Point guards: Gab Gomez, rookie, 5'11", 175 pounds, 26 years old, 1.2 points, 0.2 rebounds, 0.6 assists, 0.2 blocks, 33% 3-point shooter, 50% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Mark Baroka, veteran star, 5'10", 170 pounds, 40 years old, 16 points, 1 rebound, 5 assists, 28% 3-point shooter, 66% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Jerome Lastimosa, rising star, 5'11", 165 pounds, 27 years old, 14.1 points, 3.3 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1.4 steals, 0.4 blocks, 39% 3-point shooter, 72% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. L.A. Tenorio, reserve list, playing head coach, 5'9", 152 pounds, 41 years old, 3.5 points, 1.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 40% 3-point shooter, 100% free throw shooter, 2 games played in his Pba 50th Philippine Cup averages. Shooting guards: Peter Alfaro, sophomore, 5'11", 186 pounds, 27 years old, 1.8 points, 0.8 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 0.5 steals, 27% 3-point shooter, 50% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Paul Lee, veteran star, 6 feet, 200 pounds, 37 years old, 6.8 points, 2.2 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 1 steal, 52% 3-point shooter, 88% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. JerAve Gomez Deliano, rising star, 6'3", 193 pounds, 27 years old, 5.9 points, 1.6 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 0.6 steals, 0.3 blocks, 36% 3-point shooter, 66% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Paulo Taha, 6 feet, 180 pounds, 35 years old, 2.5 points, 0.5 rebounds, 0.5 assists, 0.5 steals, 50% 3-point shooter, 6.5 minutes per game in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Small forwards: Chris Kuhn, rookie, 6'5", 209 pounds, 25 years old, 3.7 points, 2.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 0.2 steals, 33% 3-point shooter, 100% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Rome De La Rosa, 6'3", 185 pounds, 35 years old, 7.6 points, 3.1 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 0.7 steals, 43% 3-point shooter, 88% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Rafael Verano, 6'3", 200 pounds, 28 years old, 2.1 points, 1.6 rebounds, 0.3 assists, 0.3 steals, 50% 3-point shooter, 7.5 minutes per game in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Power forwards: Yukien Andrada, rookie, 6'6", 210 pounds, 25 years old, 2.6 points, 1.8 rebounds, 0.4 assists, 0.4 steals, 26% 3-point shooter, 100% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Xavier Lucero, star player, 6'6", 205 pounds, 27 years old, 14.4 points, 8 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.8 blocks, 34% 3-point shooter, 79% free throw shooter in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. Russell Escoto, injured list, 6'6", 200 pounds, 33 years old, 1.4 points, 0.2 rebounds, 0.2 blocks, 20% 3-point shooter, 5 games played in his Pba 50th Commissioner's Cup averages. At ayon naman sa source na to, ay dahil hindi nga makukuha ng Magnolia si Navarro ngayon dahil sa 3 years ban niya, ay balak daw i-offer ng Magnolia si Rafael Verano, Paulo Taha at ang 52nd second round pick nila sa Titan Ultra kapalit ni Flores. Cade Flores, pending trade, 6'5", 214 pounds, 27 years old, 6.5 points, 4.3 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 0.4 steals, 0.4 blocks, 33% 3-point shooter, 81% free throw shooter ni Pba 50Th Commissioner's Cup averages. Centers, James Laput, 6'10", 245 pounds, 29 years old, 1.8 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0.3 block, 50 field goal percentage, 100% free throw shooter ni Pba 50Th Commissioner's Cup averages. Ian Sangalang, veteran star, 6'7", 212 pounds, 34 years old, 7.5 points, 3.1 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.3 steals, 51 field goal percentage, 69% free throw shooter ni Pba 50Th Commissioner's Cup averages. Ayon nga sa source na to, ay balak nga daw kontakin ng Magnolia Hotshots si Kenneth Lofton Jr. kung siya ay available para gawin nila siyang imports upcoming Governor's Cup. Kenneth Lofton Jr. pending import signing, 6'6", 275 pounds, 24 years old, 12.3 points, 5.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 0.9 steals, 0.4 blocks, 32% 3-point shooter, 67% free throw shooter in his 2025-2026 China CBA season averages. Panoorin natin ang maikling game highlights sa basketball career ni Lofton Jr. kung gaano siya kagaling na import. Ito ang updated, new and improved complete lineup ng Magnolia Hotshots para sa 2026 Pba 50th Governor's Cup. Sa tingin mga kababos, makukuha kaya ng Magnolia ang mga tinatarget nilang player ngayong off-season? I-comment nyo na po yan sa baba.